descent and Indian descent.
There you go.
No, I obviously, at least I think, primarily African American, and I embrace that because part of that is also a political concept in addition to a racial designation. But I relate to all cultures and all people, and I'm fortunate enough to recognize in my very close immediate family there's a representation of all type of DNA.
Did you put that on the census?
Well, no, because I think because of the history of our country and the issues that have to do with racial identity, I do think it's important to identify racially, so I identify myself as an African American. But I know in terms of my heart, I'm a human being, and my DNA is representative of everyone.
Of a lot of people.
A lot of different backgrounds.
Dr. George, you're biting at the grip. Go ahead.
You brought up a very interesting subject.
Okay.
I'm a racist.
Are you?
Oh, I definitely am.
Oh, my God.
I've got a degree in anthropology and I got a PhD in humanities. I love race. I love them all. And I studied every single race.
Yes.
And I love them.
I know you do.
And I think that's important, my friend.
But see, a racist, though, carries a negative concept.
Well, that's somebody else.
Okay.
So as long as any concept they want,
okay.
I got my concept.
It's a racist like a scientist would be, with the
A
IST
scientist?
at the end. Yeah, it's a science. You study races, and a scientist would study science.
People misunderstand science very much.
But really, it's so that you don't, because to me, as long as you are not a supremacist, that's what's important. Or when you decide that race is a criteria for denying people their rights, that's when it becomes a problem for me. And on a very serious side, one of the beautiful things of our country is that we've evolved.
Yes.
Because we started out with some birth defects, as people would like to say. And I think racial classifications were one of those defects. We still identify by race, but I think you have to recognize we have to see the commonality in all of us, and certainly not to give privileges to people based upon their race. I think that's an important thing. And also recognizing some of the institutional consequences of our racist past. I think that's really important for us to recognize, especially as a member of the judiciary, because that's a real part of our past.
Absolutely. Okay, Counselor, hit him. You've been before him.
That's why my knees are shaking. No, he's a gentleman. He's definitely a gentleman, and he has grace and mercy. So,
Monday morning. Keep going.
And so you one of the things is you were the president of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners.
Yes.
And what kind of things did you do there? How did that feed into your experience?
Well, for 4 years, we were paid, each of us, the total sum of $0.
Wow.
And I was president for 2 years.
Oh, God.
And it was a 30 to 40 hour a week job, and I had a law practice going, so I had hardly no time to do anything. But I love public service, and it was a public service job. And the
30 to 40 hours a week?
30 to 40
and
hours a
you got
week.
paid no money?
No money.
Oh, my God.
But it's public service.
Oh, yeah,
public
right.
service. Look, as a lawyer, I had a very successful law practice. So
what kind of law did you practice?
I did eminent domain and redevelopment work for a number of years. And I was a partner with a firm by the name of Myers Nave.
Okay.
And we represented a lot of public entities. So I had some support and help in the background.
And clients who actually paid.
Usually.
Now, Dr. George, you were with a volunteer with the police department.
I believe, and just as Judge Cunningham does, give of yourself freely that others may prosper and fare well because of you. And you can do it in a couple different ways. One of them, make them happy. How can you make people happy? Well, do something. Well, to make yourself happy first. You do something to make somebody else happy, you will be happy.
That's true.
And it all works together. But Judge, I'm so proud to be sitting here listening to you. I tell you, that's what. How do we get a copy of this conversation. I want to go over. No, tell me.
Okay, well, you can contact me. I'm Wanda Khorovsky, and just give me a call, 818-831-8809. Dr. George, you are something else. Anyway, let's get back to the judge, because, see, the way you can see the judge, I hope you don't have to see him too often. He's at the Los Angeles. Okay, I was going to say he's at the Los Angeles Superior Courthouse.
Yes. I want to find out what this girl does over here.
Go on, Madeline, tell him. What do you do, girl?
I'm a family law lawyer. I break up homes now.
No, you don't break them up.
No, but I help people in their most difficult time. There's nothing more difficult. I think it would be easier to go through a criminal case than to go through something dividing up your house or your children. That's what I do. And I'm a grandmother and a mother, too.
Have you met anybody who hasn't had difficult times in their marriage?
No.
Everybody does.
I heard someone say that, I think it was a pastor who said, trying to put a man and a woman together in the same house and expect them to live together in peace was kind of a joke. to say that to expect them not to fight, that would be a joke.
Good for you.
Men and women don't always get along, but some people don't understand that there's that there's not a Prince Charming or Princess Charming, that people are going to fight when they live in the same house. And some people give up too fast.
My wife and I have been married 61 years. 62 years.
To the same people?
and it started out rough, but it's gotten better and better every single year, and I'm looking forward to the 63rd year.
That's right.
Everyone has gotten better.
Well, everybody doesn't have to fight even when they get a divorce. My mother and father got divorced, and my father and his new wives, whichever one it was, came to all the parties. I'm divorced, and my ex-husband and my current husband are best friends, and we can raise our children that way.
Well, you know what? Susie takes good care of you, and I'm sure, Madeleine, you know all about this. When it comes to Judge Cunningham's courtroom, this is in the article on the Daily Journal, too. It says that you like formality in your courtroom. And at the beginning of each session, everybody rises and they face the flag.
Yes.
So I like, you make me want to just check myself. Okay. So tell me a little bit about that. What do you like in your courtroom? What do you want to see?
Well, there's a reason why I stress formality when you walk into the courtroom and we address the flag. Because the flag represents, to me, the symbol of freedom in America. It represents our liberty, and it represents the many individuals, men and women, who gave their lives for that freedom.
That's right.
And it says to me, when you come into a courtroom, in my courtroom, but in any courtroom in the United States, you are to have dignity, and we're to respect each other's rights, and to understand that those rights, while they're God-given, they have to be protected. And it isn't a game, that every single person is entitled to those rights. So it's sort of a way to remind people what America stands for. And that's why I insist on that formality of pledging allegiance to the flag, because I think that's something you don't omit. People gave their lives for that.
I think it's really also important for people to have respect for the courts, which so many people don't understand. They don't understand authority or respect or behavior, appropriate behavior. So I think it's very helpful in that manner. They realize, this is not a nightclub, or
No.
it's a courtroom, and we have to give respect to you and the office and the
to
courtroom.
each other too.
And, yes.
And that's really because a lot of times what is my pet peeve is when people just consistently interrupt, talk over one another, blurt out. And I know that sometimes these are emotional matters, so people are vested in their particular interests. And I try to give people an opportunity to make their points, but we still have to respect one another. And that's really the other reason for the formality, is to remind people that formality should also bring with it the respect of one another and civility. And that's what I'm reaching for, not just to come in and be stiff and do what I say. It's to come in and treat one another with respect and understand that the courtroom exists for very important reasons that have to do with our nation and our values and who we are as a people.
That's right.
But I want you to have fun too, don't
My brilliant granddaughter came up with a solution for all these problems. He said, if you just show respect for the other person, there'll be no problem. You will ease all problems by showing respect to each other.
That's
and I
beautiful.
thought